listening to Everyday Engineering, the City of Madison's engineering podcast where we talk about infrastructure. Complex topics explained simply, from the water that flows down your drain to the rain and snow that drains into the lakes. By way the curbs and streets we design. City engineering touches your life in so many ways, explained right now in Everyday Engineering. Williamson Street, South Blair Street, University Avenue, Capitol Square, Monroe Street. Oh, these are some of the most busy and intense streets you've most likely traveled on in the city of Madison. And while they're all drastically different in location, the person designing them, little did you know, has been the same, now with a major promotion. My name is Hannah Mohelnitzky, City of Madison Engineering Division Public Information Officer, joined here today by none other than fresh, brand new City Engineer Jim Wolfe. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for that energetic intro, Hannah. I appreciate that.
It is a big congratulations on your new position. You're leading the entire City of Madison Engineering Division, and this may be new now, but you are most definitely not new to the city. Can you kind of just kick off our conversation, explain to our listeners your journey just a little bit to this point?
Yeah, certainly. So I was a graduate of UW-Madison in the civil engineering department, and then I started working for the city back in January of 2007, so coming up on almost 16 years now being with the engineering division. Primarily working in street design in a project manager role. Worked on a lot of different projects throughout the years, dabbled in a bunch of different areas too. Worked with a lot of different residents and neighborhoods too, so it's been a pretty great journey to this point.
And you grew up?
I grew up outside of Milwaukee in Waukesha.
Okay, so Wisconsin.
Yeah, real close by.
Born,
familiar with Madison.
Growing, and all the things. Wow.
I can say, actually, it's been a little while now. I have lived in Madison for more than half of my life now.
So that explains, you know the lay of the land.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I know.
Probably more detail than most.
That is also very true. It's kind of weird how you kind of get familiar with all the different streets and areas throughout the city that most people, probably aren't that familiar with. But those projects that you listed, I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with those.
Well, and each one, I bet, brings a vivid memory or a lesson that kind of fits with each of those. And I think, I guess, can you kind of just bring us back to a little moment maybe in each of those? Willie Street, that whole area, and then you have South Blair, and then University is traveled so much. It's such a high volume amount of cars. Capitol Square, obviously in the heart of the capital city of our state. That's an incredible amount of responsibility to reconstruct any of that. And then, of course, you have Monroe Street, also another part of our community where there was a lot of work and a lot of impact. So can you kind of just maybe sprinkle in a couple of lessons you learned along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So each of those projects were considerably different.
We only have 20 minutes, by the
way. And, some of them were unique in what we were trying to design for, like Willie Street and Monroe Street. They kind of have those really nice small business areas. So we're thinking access to businesses, pedestrian movements, and some of those things, and keeping speed slow. University Avenue, it's part of a truck route. It's got 50,000 vehicles a day.
50,000?
Depending upon where you're at. Yeah, so it's like you're thinking about things a little bit differently, but still we want to provide complete streets for all users. So in my 16 years, our division has grown, both in size, but in terms of our perspective on things too. And I think we're working a lot more closely now with other agencies, whether it's, parks, our streets division, urban forestry. So it's been interesting kind of seeing that progression, looking back on when I first started too.
Yeah, we've definitely grown. Capitol Square, that's a long time ago.
It feels like yesterday, Hannah.
Does it?
Kind of. And that one, that's one of those things that makes Madison pretty unique and fun to work in, is coordinating with the Dane County Farmers Market just kind of throughout the entire project. Because our construction season aligns very well with farmers market season. So trying to, navigate all of that. And, it wasn't so challenging necessarily from a technical perspective, but realizing how important that is to a lot of different people in our community and trying to keep that in mind.
I mean, so many people go down for those farmers markets.
It's very true.
That is definitely, that's got to be a lot to just kind of weigh and kind of grind through. How has all of that prepared you for this role?
I think it's prepared me pretty well. At least I hope it has. I'm still pretty fresh. Like I mentioned, a lot of that project work, it started out as smaller projects, more like technical design work, just kind of learning street design. That's not really what I studied in college either. I kind of fell into this job.
Well, what did you study?
Oh, I was focusing on structural engineering.
Meaning?
And buildings. And I was going to go to grad school, but by the time I got to my last semester, I was like, I'm done with college. I'm ready to move on.
I'm done now.
And so then I just started rapid fire, was applying for jobs, and this seemed to fit the best.
So you didn't intern at the city or anything?
No.
Wow. Can you imagine? That's pretty, I don't know what, like, it was just meant to be or what, but that's pretty kind of cool.
It is. And, the job posting I found was in the Badger Herald, of all things.
Wow. So, wow. So that's how you got here. That's how you got here.
That is how I got here. And I kind of liked the perspective of being able to do work in the place that I live and having to own it long term too. That, we're doing a lot of our own design work. We have our own maintenance staff that we kind of have to live with these things that we're building, both as residents and also as employees long term.
I think, and that's unique because a lot of the time, I mean, I guess how does that differ then from other municipalities? Because we do a lot. We try to do as much as we can in-house.
That is true.
We have, like you said, our own maintenance staff and our own, like, that's huge because a lot of the time, what do other municipalities, maybe smaller, what do they do?
You'll hire private consulting engineering firms to do your design work for you. A lot of talented people out there, but sometimes it's a different perspective, kind of realizing the difference between coming into a community, designing a project, and then moving on to the next one.
And having all that historical knowledge at your fingertips. Like when you have all of the information within the city, that may make your designs either go quicker or anything along those lines. Maybe.
Yeah, and it gives a new perspective. Usually when we're going into a project, we've got some context there.
Sure.
That's like, we've tried these things in the past. These things worked well. These things didn't work well. This was received well by the neighborhood. So it kind of allows us to build upon that knowledge and design good projects.
I think so. You've been in this role now for what, about a month-ish?
I think technically I was promoted around the end of September.
So September, October. It's been a blur, I'm sure.
It really has. And then, I was on leave for a while as a new dad too.
Yes.
So it's been interesting that it was like I was promoted and then it was like, hey, see you later, everyone.
Here's a new baby and a whole new job. I mean, and we could talk about baby now or we could talk about baby later. What have you learned even in the short amount of time? I mean, even since September, like what have you, like anything surprise you right away where you're like, wow, did not know that now that I'm in this position?
Going into it, I knew engineering
we only have 20 minutes.
A really wide net in all of the things that we're doing for our community. We've got, our street design staff, sewer staff. We have our maintenance staff. We've got our facilities folks, both design and maintenance, are in the engineering division doing all the building projects for public buildings across the city. So I kind of knew how wide of a net we cast, but I was always kind of, I had my lane. I learned a lot in coordinating with other agencies and things, just in the type of projects I was working on, required that. But there are certainly pieces of engineering that I didn't really have any grasp of previously. And so it's been really interesting how much I've been able to learn from people. We have so many great people on our staff and so many talented, experienced people to learn from. And that's been really wonderful. I've always been kind of a curious person by nature, I suppose. So I ask a lot of questions, and I think our, financial manager, Steve Danner Rivers, is maybe getting a bit annoyed with me that it's like all these financial things I didn't really have to worry about, like with the sewer utility. It's all very interesting and new and exciting and fun.
Well, I mean, you got to ask. And
That's the only way I'm going to learn.
right, and that's coming from someone who's within this, within our team, right? It wouldn't be it'd probably be even more questions if we would have been with anybody outside, which also would have been fine too, but it's just part of it, right? When you get into a new role, you got to ask the questions, and good leaders do that. They ask questions, and they're not afraid to ask the questions, even if it feels annoying or if it feels like they're so-called, maybe they're dumb questions or what have you. It doesn't matter. You got to know, right?
That is very true. And now I have a reason to know. Like before, I just ask questions, be like, I'm kind of curious about this, but it's not really related to my job.
Yeah.
Now it is.
Yeah, now I have to know.
Yep.
Yes. What are the biggest projects facing the engineering division as we sit here today?
Oh, we have a lot. Engineering specific, kind of coming up. I think I jotted down some notes here. Just I was thinking about this. We're working with economic development coming up with the public market.
Huge.
Which is very exciting.
Yes.
So that's kind of been something that we've been waiting on for a few years now, and that's happening.
Yes.
We have the permanent shelter going on the east side. So a lot of work went into the temporary space. That's been really nice and up and running here this fall, and now we can focus on building out that permanent space. John Nolan Drive is a few years out.
Yes.
Major project, heavy infrastructure, bridge work, coordination with parks along the waterfront. That's going to be pretty major too.
That's like a generational project.
Yes, it is.
That's incredibly impactful to our everything in the city of Madison. Everybody has, and I feel safe in saying this, everybody who's visited Madison and wanted to go downtown has most likely taken John Nolan Drive.
To a certain extent, whether you're driving or we've got the Cap City Trail, that's one of the highest used trails in the state, is right along John Nolan Drive too. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Yes, we're very busy. I mean, just those projects alone.
Ooh, another one to add coming up next year too that I don't want people to forget about is Atwood Avenue also.
So what's going on there?
So that is this gets into weird engineering stuff, but it's technically a WISDOT contract that we had gotten some federal funds for it. But
Sure.
We're looking at Atwood Avenue from Fair Oaks to Cottage Grove Road. And that's going to be a pretty significant project. We're looking at a lane reduction, building out, because a good portion of the Lake Loop, bike route, runs along Atwood Avenue, Olbrich Park, that we're building out our bike and pedestrian infrastructure to really improve out there too.
God, we're busy. And what about the projects facing the city from an infrastructure standpoint? So outside, maybe, we're obviously impacting engineering, but a little outside of engineering, we kind of reach out a little further. What are some of the big projects from infrastructure standpoint?
One major thing coming up, and it's going to be about a year and a half long, is we've been working with the city's Department of Transportation and Metro Transit that Bus Rapid Transit is coming to Madison.
Yes.
That's going to be huge from a transportation perspective. Very big, able to actually move significant numbers of people efficiently. So getting that in place, building out all those shelters, and getting that running is going to be kind of a big partnership between engineering staff and Metro, among others. Electric buses,
Oh gosh.
very neat.
Yes.
It's going to be cool. But then we've also been kind of working with the Wisconsin State DOT that they're looking at some studies along Highway 51 and I-94 for potential future interchanges, et cetera.
I think that's it for now, right?
Yeah, kind of.
I think we covered a lot.
But
Not all,
There's
but
a lot happening. Yep.
Yes, we didn't hit on private development. I think a lot of people are interested in just how the city is growing that way, and with private development and people wanting to build and redevelop and all of the things. What can you say to that?
So we work closely with staff in the planning division that they're looking at, organizing the city in a way that works well for both economic development but also livability. So we work closely with them, and then we coordinate with developers on, when they're doing new subdivisions, making sure that they're building streets, stormwater infrastructure to our standards, that we're really looking at the whole thing holistically and how this fits into our neighborhood and our infrastructure. But we're also densifying. We're a growing city. So there's going to be a lot going on downtown too, and working closely with other agencies too to make sure that we've got transportation managed well. We're considering flooding impacts. It's all very fun.
It is really fun. It's all very fascinating because it impacts all of us. Impacting you right now, maybe a new sleep schedule. You're a new dad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
New baby in your household. Maybe you're sleeping, maybe you're not. How has that been, juggling all this life change all at once?
It's been great.
Are you here right now, or do you need more coffee?
Yeah, I've got my cup sitting right here. I'm doing really well. It's I think we feel fortunate that Oliver is maybe on the sleepier side of newborns, I suppose.
Oh, good.
Which works well. It's definitely been a schedule adjustment. I've always been more of an early riser, but now that it's interrupted throughout the day, and maybe I've got to help JoJo out with something in the morning, that the start of my workday has been starting a little bit later these days, which has been a new experience for me.
Anything surprise you about babies? It's like a little human.
It's mostly how noisy he is while he's sleeping. That, it would be nice to get a little peace and quiet every once in a while.
Wait, what do you mean by that? How noisy he is?
He's just like, there's like all of these random squeaks and grunts, and I'm just like, I'm a notoriously light sleeper, so all that stuff wakes me up. I know he's totally fine, and it's just like part of his sleeping.
Well, and then you're like, oh, is he okay? Is he okay?
That was like the first 4 weeks, and now I'm just like, oh, he's totally fine. He's just noisy. But we're kind of getting to the fun stage. He's smiling at us a lot more and all those good things.
That's so sweet.
So that's been great. And it's been kind of nice to just pack all of this life change in at once. And, there was pre-September life, and now there's been post-September life. And that's just kind of how it's going to be.
It's just going to be a blur for a little while still, yes. But you will never forget this moment in your life. Like this time, this period, this slice of life for you and your family, and obviously baby Oliver, and it's such a special time, so I'm excited for you, and as I know the whole division is for you and your family, and JoJo and baby Ollie. I don't know if he goes by Ollie or Oliver.
He's been going, we've been trying some things out. They work out pretty well.
Yeah, so I'm sure he doesn't, he's not going to argue with you right now.
No, that is true. And that is another thing I have to say, that everybody in the engineering division has been so supportive, because I have been out for a while since I was promoted into this position. And, we were without a city engineer for a few months. So we kind of had a structure in place to help us through that. So I am so grateful for everyone that has been so supportive of that.
Deputy team really has kind of come to bat for that too, in the process of transition and stepping in, Kathy Cryan stepping in, Greg Freeze being there always, for as long as he's been here, and Kathy, both of them. I mean, anything you want to say about your team, that especially your immediate, the whole division is pretty awesome. I mean, we it's a family. It's, even though we're in two separate spots, we have Emil Street operations right off the Beltline, off of Fish Hatch, and then you have, obviously more of the design staff downtown, but there is a sense of support, I feel, from our immediate deputy team as well. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything about that, but
they really are amazing, and I would be completely lost without them. So Kathy Cryan, Greg Freeze, Chris Pedikowski, and Brian Cooper are some of the most talented, knowledgeable, hardworking people that I know, and I really would be lost without all of them, and they've made it so great in this transition.
Well, I think everyone's excited to see you in this space, and happy to support and help, because once you get your feet under you, then then you're on your own.
That's true. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit of a grace period here, right? Where it's just like, Jim's new to the job.
Yeah, he's in a baby haze right now. No, I think all jokes aside, I think you have your legs under you. We're all excited. We're glad that there's we have somebody leading the charge, I think, and just keep the work going, right? We just got to keep going and pushing forward and pressing on. Anything else you want to say more seriously? Because I got something fun in store for you next.
I think that was enough serious stuff. Okay. We've got a lot of good work coming up in the future.
All right. Finally, today, we are going to have a little fun to get to know Jim just a little bit more. Quick Wisconsin rapid round of this or that. Okay, are you ready?
I am.
Winter biking or summer biking?
Got to go summer biking.
John Nolan Drive or University Avenue?
John Nolan Drive. You get that iconic view of the Capitol coming over the causeway by the lakes.
J&D. Cheese curd or cheese board?
Cheese curd.
Oh, okay. What kind of cheese?
I like the fresh cheese curds.
Oh, the
in
sweeties.
particular.
Okay. Sweet or savory?
Sweet, I think I have to go with.
You're more of a cookie than an olive. Cod or walleye?
Walleye.
Bike or drive?
Bike.
Rain garden or rain barrel?
Rain garden.
Oh, nice. Snow or sun?
I'm going to go snow.
Oh, downtown or out of town?
That is the hardest one that you put on here. I feel like I'm almost guilted into saying downtown. I'll say downtown, but it is really nice to get out, go camping, kind of get away from some of the urban things too.
Yes, you and your family are very outdoorsy, so fair enough. We'll let you
or
off
as my
on that
niece likes to say, outdoory.
Outdoory. Oh, nice. Okay. So that's it. Those are the answers. Everything you needed to know about Jim Wolfe in 20 minutes. No, that does it for us. Jim, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, this was great, Hannah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for stopping by, and make sure you check out our Facebook page, anyone listening, for a full sit-down with Jim on Capitol Square. Just search for the City of Madison Engineering Division on Facebook. Again, if you have a question about this podcast or about a future podcast episode, email us at engineering@cityofmadison.com. Also, don't be afraid to check out our engineering division website, full of resources about any other topics that we do under our umbrella of work, because we're always here for you every day in engineering.